Good morning, our viewers, wherever you are tuning from. It's indeed a chilly morning here in Nairobi, and we are hopeful that wherever you are up and building the nation or taking a rest in this Sunday. So today we want to delve deep into a conversation that has been in everyone's mouth, the topic on public debt. Where are we now? Where have we come from? And where do we anticipate to go? And what are the solutions that we hope to put forward to the government? And as we as citizens, how can we take our initiative in ensuring that we have full accountability of the monies that are both borrowed in and out? Here in referring to the domestic borrowing or external borrowing. With me here, I have to my farthest right, our educational specialist, Mr. Dickens. Maybe you can say hi to the audience.
Hi, audience. Mr. Dickens, part of the team.
Thank you. Following him is our Akili, our able Akili. Maybe say hi to him.
Hi, I say Sheldon Luciano, and glad to be part of the panelist, and we want to discuss this part of the.
Yeah, thank you. Over to you, Mr. Generalius. Yes.
Hello, our viewers. I'm happy to be part of this team this morning so that we can share ideas in our country.
So glad to be here, being part of this team. Hopefully, we'll have a good discussion, get to enlighten the public more on today's topic that is debt. National.
Thank you. And who will be moderating to this session, very warm. Feel most welcome to be part of this conversation. So over to it. Over the past 13 years or so, starting from 2013, the topic of public debt has been very, very controversial. Very controversial in the sense that people have been agitating to have an understanding of where the borrowed money has been going to. Because if you ask even a young child atakwambia, tunasikiaga serikali imeenda kukopa pesa from IMF, wanaenda with a specific reason, tunataka kutengeneza barabara, tunataka kutengeneza hospitali. But after some time, we find like this, the projects or the initiatives that the money had been going to sort to get a for has not materialized. So maybe before even we take our further step to that, we can just start by defining what is public debt so that it can create a very robust foundation for us as we progress to that. The concept of public debt, how do you understand it? What does it entail? Maybe what will you start us with?
Public debt. This is the money that we usually go on organizations such as the World Bank and the IMF to borrow so that it can help to fund our deficit. Deficit is just like when you have a budget and you plan to spend, but the revenue that you are collecting is less than what you plan to spend. So for you to spend to help you to manage your spending, your planned spending, you have to go and borrow some money. And when you go and borrow some money, that money that you borrow and come in to chip in into the economy to help you with your expenditure is what actually we term as public debt that we owe to other organizations. So that's my understanding about public.
Yeah, that's what people. Maybe Dickens, you can share your thoughts on that whole concept of public debt and how you understand it.
Yeah, I'll agree with my fellow panelist, Mr. Sheldon, that public debt are just that money that we borrow from international institutions to help us do our investments. It's a loan that need to be paid back by the citizens.
Okay. I believe we all agree, we share the same sentiments as them. It's basically funds that are sought for the benefit of the citizens. And on to my second question, so just building on what Dickens was saying. Do you think there are certain legislations that mandate how public debt should be used, not how it should be sourced? Okay, you've gone to seek 10 billion, for example, from the IMF. Are there any legal guidelines on how that money is supposed to be used? What channels are they supposed to fund? What activities are they supposed to be focused on?
Just before we continue,
Yeah.
regarding debt, just before you
Yeah,
continue,
yeah.
regarding the definition, I think other than just the international funding institutions, there's also local debt, where we get to borrow from citizens as it is, who have, let's say, a disposable amount of income or are looking towards their interest. Because also, if you look at how the government ideally borrows locally, is through these bonds that you get to sell from the treasury or from the commercial banks that are there. You get to buy some bonds, and now get to also, that's ideally how also government also gets to borrow locally. So just that before you see.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Maybe if I can continuously build on it. When it comes to borrowing, we have the domestic borrowing, as Mandela has said, where we have the treasury bills, treasury bonds, seeking from pension fund, and where certain individuals decide to personally loan to the government. And above all, the most common one that is known, the government goes to the commercial banks, for example, KCB, to secure a loan. That's all about the domestic. Now, when it comes to now the multilateral, here is where we have the World Bank, IMF, Africa Development Bank, and the rest. The third channel to it is now the bilateral loaning system, where the country can now decide to seek a specific partner. Maybe it's a country where we sometimes we see that Kenya goes to seek loan from the government of Spain, from the government of France. So I think we have missed that. Mandela, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and also just before you get to continue, there's this been discussion around a public-private partnership. Where does it ideally land? Is it a debt? Is it business? Where does it ideally land? Comes to PPEs. Okay. Yeah. If anyone, the PPEs, I think they call it public-private partnerships. I think, yeah, something like that. Yeah. Where does it ideally land in regards to? Is it because you find that I think it's a partnership that is there between the public and the private sector. It comes to, let's say, developing, let's say, the expressway. We get to pay at all. That is the road ideally serves the public. We get to pay at all in a long time. It gets to servicing the money that was ideally used to build that road. So would you ideally categorize it as a debt, or is it a business kind of a partnership?
Maybe you can share.
It's like a business partnership, but the private sector or the private guy must be paying. Yeah. So the amount they used in that project, they must get it back plus the interest. That's the reason why they engage. When they are engaging the public, they come with their structure on how they are going to do it. It's like it's just like a debt. You have a business plan, but you don't have the capital. But you know somebody somewhere who can lend you that money to do that business. So in the process, you are paying back the capital you're given. I think that's how
Yeah, I think that's what I'm getting. That's also what I'm getting.
Let me add on that when you talk about partnership, we are talking about two or more people which are being involved in one thing, right? And for any normal partnership, even in any business, if you are two people, then there has to be a contribution about 50-50. Okay, to make an 100. So if we have a project worth 100,000, for example, then there are two parties, then the other party has to put money and this other party also has to put money. So when in such like a project that we are talking about, I believe that somehow the government of Kenya had their share, like they had to contribute something that
And maybe to add on that, basically partnership is not on a basis of 50-50, because there are some partnerships, even I can have a partner, but maybe I'm just using his or her name in my business. So partnership is basically for shares. We come under an agreement. For example, let's say the expressway. if there's a public-private partnership, then we come in with an agreement. We say, these are my resources and you are bringing some resources. Let's put together. Then after we come up with the resources, we build expressway, then we come up with an agreement or a mechanism on how we are going to bring back to recoup the resources that we had put on that project. So for example, like the expressway, you see when you are using the expressway, there's a money you pay on a toll when you use it. So when you pay that money, there's a mechanism that the government have agreed by the other company that we are going to share this money this way. There's a percentage of it that is going to maintain the road. Some is going to the government, some the private sector is gaining. So I think public and private, it's basically bringing the resources together to come up with maybe a project that it's going to help individuals or citizens, but we are both going to gain on it.
How do you value these resources that we are bringing together?
Yes, so
Let's just according to his understanding before we go on. No, I'm
No. It's a free.
So the resources that we are bringing together here, maybe I have more resources than you, and you figured out that this guy has some resources, and if I bring mine little that I have, and he has that more that he has, we can come up with something.
so your idea was that it doesn't have to be a 50-50, which I agree with.
Yeah.
So what I was trying to say just before we hand it over to the operator is that according ideally what Sheldon is saying is true. That let's say you have a project that you're not able to finance. So I come to let's say Jeff and say that because you have the money to finance this project,
That's the expertise.
yeah. So you have the money and the expertise to finance this project. I come to you and now you build this. So the guarantee now is the government is backing this project. That let's say in the next 25 years, like let's say like the expressway is going to be paid over a long period of time through the toll fees. So by this company, if you strike a deal that me being the government, Jeff being now the guy who's now financing this project, that after this period of time, you'll be able to recoup your money plus some interest. So ideally, to arouse your interest to be able to finance this project. And now over the time, the citizens gets to pay. After now the calculation of your interest and all that, the citizens get to pay over this period of time and you recoup your money. That's what I'm getting to my research.
You wanted to add
I
something.
wanted to add something, but let's continue.
It's a free one.
Yeah, I just thought about it and I was
Because
like, where does
according
it
to what he's saying, I understand that he's talking about private sectors. Like this person is private, citizens are also private, but the government is coming in as a guarantor.
Allow me interject a
No,
bit.
that's what you are trying to say.
Allow me interject a bit. When you say the public are private, that's not the entirely correct way to look at it, because in the dynamics of a PPP, public-private partnership, the public, the de facto organization there is the government. But the government, remember, does not have its own money. It's using our money.
citizens.
So we are the public, but the government is our headmaster. Now to the private sector, it's where we have now the organizations that are coming in maybe to finance the CRPC, China Road and Bridge Company, or any other. So we, as the citizens, we are the public, but the government is acting as our guarantor. You and me cannot go and negotiate a deal with China Road and Bridging Company.
We are talking about the same guarantor.
Yeah, but we are the public. We are not private. We are not.
I think if I'm looking at it, like if you look at the government, because the last time we were talking about, let's say, the constitution and how we formulate a government. The government was what Jeff said is correct. The government is acting as our representative and using our money because it is the government that collects revenue on our behalf. It's able to understand that this is the amount we collect and this is what we're able to guarantee the citizens will get to pay. So that's what I'm getting. Like the public / government is ideally more or less the same, but now the government acts as now the headmaster of the public to guarantee this project. So when he's striking a deal with the private is the one that has the money because there's a deficit that is there. So it's the private company is coming in to fill the financial muscle and the expertise, which ideally is supposed to finance this project that's going to benefit the public, which ideally is headed by a government. So that's what I'm getting.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe lastly, before I loop in Dickens, he appears to be having some burning sentiments. You know, when we limit our thinking
Yeah.
to the thoughts or the lines of thought that the public only comes in with the ability to finance, that's entirely true, but not totally true. Because in some projects, the government has 90+% of the money, but they don't have the technical expertise to finance the project in terms of skills. So it's not only limited
It's not
to
limited to
finances.
finance.
Yeah, Dickens, this was your topic. Maybe you had something to share before we wind up.
I think I will agree with what you have said. My point was that partnership.
Okay.
That is where I was thinking that because it is a partnership, then there has to be a share. Either at what percentage? Because if somebody contributes 20%, then the return from those stalls should be 20%.
Oh, okay, that's understood. Then at this point now, allow me to bring us back to the vote we had steered a bit off. Back to my question before we move to the first session. You are just setting a robust foundation. I had initially asked, we as citizens, do we really understand or know of any legal guidelines on how the borrowed funds are supposed to be used? Here I'm referring to the PFMA, the Public Finance Management Act. What does it entail simply? What does it dictate? Okay, we as the government are good. After having that background to where we are, let's take a few steps back to understand how did we get here to our first session. Currently, as of May this year, our public debt stood at around 12.7 or 6 thereabouts trillion. But for us to better understand why we are here now, it's important to also trace back to know how the situation was before in the different tenures that we have. Fast forward to our second president, the late Honorable Moi. Upon or when he was leaving office in 2002, he left us with a loan of around 630 billion. The third president, upon taking office the same year, for the 10 years till around 2013, we had accumulated a total of 1.8 trillion. Then from 2013 to 2022, under President Uhuru Kenyatta, we were at 8.7 trillion. Then, as at now, as I've just mentioned, we are around 12.567 trillion. The figures are not yet accurate, but on to my first questions, just judging on the presentation, the statistics that I've shared, we noticed a sharp increase from the period of 2013 to 2020. Why do you think that was the case? Why did we record such a high ratio of seeking for both domestic and external funds during the same period, 2013 to 2022? Why was that the case? Let's start with CS, maybe you have.
I think the problem is just with the administration, is corruption, whereby you find that when they are going for that loan, they are claiming that they have an economic project they want to do that money. But after borrowing the money, when they come back with the money, the activity of that money is now different. Whereby you find that that project, which was mentioned before going for the loan, is still there. That money has been used in other activities. Some are just deciding to pocket some amount, some are just taking it to another activity